In the summer of 1986, Michael Thompson walked through the glass doors of the Ambassador Hotel in downtown Dallas, Texas, carrying nothing more than a worn duffel bag and decades of experience keeping buildings spotless. At 53 years old, Michael had worked as a janitor for most of his adult life, moving from one establishment to another, always reliable, always invisible to the guests who passed him in hallways without a second glance. The Ambassador Hotel stood 12 stories tall on Commerce Street, a mid-tier business hotel that catered to traveling salesmen, small corporate meetings, and the occasional family passing through the city. The lobby featured marble floors that required daily polishing, brass fixtures that needed constant attention, and carpeted areas that absorbed the dust and grime of thousands of footsteps each week. For Michael, it represented steady work with benefits, something increasingly difficult to find in his line of employment. During his first week, Michael familiarized himself with the building's layout. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The basement housed the laundry facilities, storage areas, and employee break rooms. The ground floor contained the lobby, restaurant, and administrative offices. Floors 2 through 12 held guest rooms, each requiring daily cleaning and maintenance. What struck Michael immediately was the hotel's age and the stories hidden within its walls. Built in 1952, the Ambassador had witnessed decades of Dallas history, hosting everyone from oil executives to political figures during the city's boom years. Michael's supervisor, a stern woman named Patricia Collins, explained his responsibilities during orientation. He would be responsible for the basement level, the first 3 floors of guest rooms, and specific common areas throughout the building. His shift ran from 6 in the evening until 2 in the morning, ensuring minimal disruption to hotel operations. The pay was decent for the time, and the work, while demanding, followed a predictable routine that Michael appreciated. The cleaning supply closet on the second floor became Michael's base of operations. Located at the end of a long hallway, the narrow room contained everything necessary for his work: industrial vacuum cleaners, floor buffers, cleaning chemicals, mops, brooms, and countless rolls of toilet paper and towels. The closet had been constructed during the hotel's original build, with thick concrete walls and a heavy wooden door that required significant force to open and close properly. During his third week, Michael discovered something peculiar about the supply closet. While organizing shelves one evening, he noticed that the back wall didn't align properly with the building's exterior dimensions. Having worked in numerous buildings throughout his career, Michael possessed an intuitive understanding of structural layouts. The space seemed compressed, as if several feet were missing from the room's depth. Initially, Michael dismissed the observation. Old buildings often contained architectural irregularities, spaces lost to renovations, or areas blocked off for utility access. However, curiosity eventually overcame his initial indifference. During a particularly quiet Thursday night in August, with most guests settled in their rooms, Michael decided to investigate more thoroughly. Using a flashlight, he examined the back wall of the supply closet with greater attention. The concrete surface appeared uniform, but closer inspection revealed subtle differences in texture and coloration. A section approximately 3 feet wide and 5 feet tall showed signs of different construction materials. The mortar between concrete blocks appeared newer, less weathered than the surrounding areas. Michael's investigation intensified over the following weeks. He discovered that maintenance records for the hotel, stored in the basement, contained gaps in documentation during the late 1950s and early 1960s. Renovation permits and construction records seemed incomplete, particularly regarding structural modifications to the second floor. The mystery deepened when Michael learned from longtime employees that the supply closet had been relocated during a renovation project sometime in the early 1960s. Margaret Torres, a housekeeper who had worked at the Ambassador since 1961, provided crucial information during a casual conversation in the employee break room. She recalled that during her first year, construction workers had sealed off a portion of the second floor for several months. The work had been conducted during overnight hours, with minimal disruption to hotel operations. Margaret remembered being told that the construction involved updating the building's infrastructure, but she had always found it strange that such extensive work produced no visible improvements. Armed with this information, Michael began developing a theory about the supply closet's hidden space. He researched the hotel's history at the Dallas Public Library during his days off, discovering that the Ambassador had been owned by a succession of individuals and corporations throughout its existence. One owner, Harold Brennan, had operated the hotel from 1958 to 1963, a period that coincided with the construction work Margaret remembered. Harold Brennan's background proved fascinating. A businessman with interests in real estate and construction, Brennan had purchased the Ambassador during a period of financial difficulty for the previous owner. Under his management, the hotel had undergone several renovation projects, including the mysterious second-floor work that had caught Michael's attention. Brennan had sold the hotel abruptly in 1963, citing personal reasons, and had moved to California shortly thereafter. Michael's research revealed additional intriguing details about Brennan's tenure. Local newspaper archives contained references to his involvement in various business ventures throughout Dallas, including partnerships with individuals who later faced legal troubles related to tax evasion and money laundering. While no direct accusations had ever been made against Brennan, the connection suggested a complex web of financial relationships that might explain the hidden space in the supply closet. As autumn arrived in 1986, Michael's obsession with the mystery consumed his thoughts. He began bringing tools to work, concealing them in his cleaning cart. Small items at first: a hammer, screwdrivers, a chisel. His plan was simple but required patience. During the quietest hours of his shift, typically between midnight and 2 in the morning, he would carefully work on the sealed wall. The concrete proved more challenging than expected. Michael's progress was measured in fractions of inches, each night bringing him slightly closer to whatever lay behind the barrier. He developed techniques for muffling the sound of his work, using towels and cleaning rags to absorb the noise of chiseling. The hotel's thick walls in the late hour provided natural sound barriers, but Michael remained cautious about detection. His colleagues began noticing changes in his behavior. Patricia Collins commented on his increased dedication, arriving early and staying late to ensure his assigned areas remained immaculate. Other janitors noticed his frequent visits to the supply closet and his requests to work alone in that section of the building. Michael deflected their curiosity with explanations about organizing inventory and deep cleaning projects. By December 1986, Michael had created a small opening in the sealed wall, just large enough to insert his flashlight. The beam revealed a space approximately 4 feet deep, extending the full width of what should have been the supply closet. The hidden area appeared to contain objects, but the limited visibility prevented clear identification of their contents. The discovery filled Michael with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Whatever Harold Brennan had concealed behind that wall 30 years earlier remained undisturbed, waiting in darkness. Michael understood that his next actions would determine not only what secrets the Ambassador Hotel had kept hidden, but potentially the entire trajectory of his remaining years. Christmas Eve of 1986 arrived with unusual warmth for Dallas, but inside the Ambassador Hotel, Michael Thompson felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. His hands trembled slightly as he prepared his cleaning cart, knowing that tonight would be different from all the others. The small opening he had painstakingly created over the past months beckoned from the supply closet like a doorway into the unknown. The hotel operated with a skeleton crew during the holiday, providing Michael with the perfect opportunity to expand his investigation. Most guests had departed to spend Christmas with their families, leaving entire floors nearly vacant. Patricia Collins had taken the evening off, trusting Michael to handle the reduced workload alone. For the first time in months, he would have complete privacy to explore what Harold Brennan had sealed away more than 2 decades earlier. Michael waited until well past midnight before making his move. The hotel had settled into its deepest quiet, with only the distant hum of heating systems and the occasional creak of aging infrastructure breaking the silence. He wheeled his cart to the supply closet, his heart rate accelerating with each step down the familiar hallway. Inside the cramped space, Michael removed the cleaning supplies he had strategically positioned to conceal his work. The small hole he had created appeared innocent enough, just another imperfection in an old building's walls. However, Michael knew it represented months of patient effort and the gateway to answers he had been seeking since August. He had prepared for this moment carefully. A larger hammer, borrowed from the hotel's maintenance workshop, rested inside his cart alongside additional chisels and a crowbar. Michael had also brought a proper flashlight, the kind used by construction workers, capable of illuminating whatever secrets lay hidden in the darkness beyond. The first powerful blow against the weakened concrete sent vibrations through the floor. Michael paused, listening for any indication that the noise had attracted attention. The ambassador remained silent. He struck again, feeling the wall give way slightly under the impact. Each subsequent blow created larger cracks, revealing the extent of the hastily constructed barrier. After 20 minutes of concentrated effort, Michael had created an opening large enough to step through. Concrete dust covered his clothes and filled the air, forcing him to cover his nose and mouth with a cleaning rag. He aimed his flashlight through the breach, finally getting his first clear view of Harold Brennan's hidden chamber. The space extended approximately 12 feet in length and 4 feet in depth, creating a substantial room that had been completely sealed from the outside world. What Michael saw in the beam of his flashlight defied his expectations entirely. Instead of storage boxes or forgotten furniture, the hidden area contained something far more intriguing. Stacks of canvas bags lined the walls, each secured with rope and bearing handwritten labels that were difficult to read in the flashlight's glare. The bags appeared heavy, their contents creating distinct rectangular shapes that suggested organized storage. Between the bags, Michael observed wooden crates of various sizes, some bearing corporate logos that he recognized from Dallas businesses of the 1950s and 60s. Michael squeezed through the opening, his flashlight beam dancing across surfaces that had remained untouched for over 20 years. The air inside felt stale and dry, preserved by the concrete seal that had protected the contents from moisture and decay. Each step forward revealed additional details that deepened the mystery surrounding Harold Brennan's activities. The canvas bags contained papers, but not the kind Michael had expected. As he carefully opened the first bag, his flashlight illuminated stacks of documents, photographs, and what appeared to be financial records. The papers were organized meticulously, bound with rubber bands and separated by manila folders. Many bore letterheads from companies Michael recognized as prominent Dallas businesses from decades past. One folder contained photographs that made Michael pause in recognition. The images showed groups of men in suits, standing in what appeared to be hotel rooms and office buildings throughout Dallas. Harold Brennan appeared in several photographs, always positioned prominently among the group. The men's faces were serious, their postures suggesting business meetings of considerable importance. The wooden crates revealed even more intriguing contents. Michael opened the smallest crate first, discovering it contained additional photographs. these showing construction projects throughout Dallas during the late 1950s and early 1960s. Several images depicted the Ambassador Hotel during various stages of renovation, including the exact location where Michael now stood. A larger crate contained items that immediately captured Michael's attention. Wrapped in oilcloth and preserved with obvious care, the objects appeared to be personal belongings of considerable value. Jewelry, watches, and small decorative items filled the container, each piece suggesting wealth far beyond what a hotel owner might typically possess. However, it was the contents of the largest crate that truly shocked Michael. As he pried open the wooden lid, his flashlight revealed something that made him step backward involuntarily. The crate contained cash, but not the small amounts one might expect from hotel operations. Bundles of bills, secured with bank straps and organized by denomination, filled the container completely. Michael's hands shook as he reached for one of the bundles. The bills were primarily hundreds and fifties, their condition suggesting they had been stored shortly after being obtained. A quick examination revealed dates from the late 1950s and early 1960s, consistent with Harold Brennan's ownership of the Ambassador Hotel. The sheer volume of cash overwhelmed Michael's ability to process what he was seeing. Bundle after bundle filled the crate, suggesting an amount far exceeding what legitimate hotel operations could generate. The money appeared to have been hidden hastily, stored without the careful organization evident in the document bags and other containers. As Michael continued exploring the hidden chamber, he discovered additional crates containing similar contents. Each container held substantial amounts of cash, jewelry, and documents that painted a picture of Harold Brennan's activities during his ownership of the Ambassador Hotel. The evidence suggested involvement in business dealings that extended far beyond simple hotel management. A manila envelope, stored separately from the other documents, contained what appeared to be correspondence between Brennan and various individuals throughout Dallas and other Texas cities. The letters discussed business transactions, property transfers, and financial arrangements that seemed deliberately vague and coded. Several letters made references to the Ambassador Project and storage arrangements that now made perfect sense to Michael. The final discovery in the hidden chamber proved to be the most significant. A leather portfolio, positioned carefully on a wooden shelf Brennan had constructed along one wall, contained what appeared to be a complete record of the concealed operation. Page after page documented cash amounts, dates of storage, and cryptic references to the sources of the hidden wealth. Michael realized he was looking at evidence of a systematic operation that had used the Ambassador Hotel as a storage facility for substantial amounts of cash and valuables. The careful organization and preservation suggested that Brennan had intended to return for these items eventually, but something had prevented him from doing so. The implications of his discovery began weighing heavily on Michael's mind. The cash alone represented more money than he had ever seen in his entire life. The documents and other evidence suggested connections to business activities that might have attracted law enforcement attention decades earlier. Michael understood that his accidental discovery had placed him in a position of enormous complexity and potential danger. Standing in the hidden chamber, surrounded by the remnants of Harold Brennan's secret operation, Michael faced decisions that would determine not only his own future, but potentially the futures of others who might be connected to these long-buried secrets. As dawn broke over Dallas that Christmas morning, Michael Thompson sat in his small apartment, staring at the business card of an FBI agent he had found in the phone book. The hidden chamber at the Ambassador Hotel contained what investigators would later determine to be $3.6 million in cash, along with evidence linking Harold Brennan to a network of money laundering operations that had operated throughout Texas during the early 1960s. Michael's decision to contact federal authorities rather than keep the discovery to himself reflected the character that had defined his entire working life. The investigation that followed revealed connections between Brennan and several criminal enterprises, with the Ambassador Hotel serving as a central storage facility for illicit proceeds. The case reopened cold files dating back over 20 years, leading to additional discoveries and prosecutions. The hotel was eventually sold and demolished in 1994, but Michael's story became part of Dallas folklore. He received a substantial reward from the federal government and used the money to start a small cleaning business, employing other workers who, like him, had spent their careers invisible to those around them. Michael Thompson proved that sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries come from the most ordinary circumstances, and that curiosity combined with persistence can unlock secrets that have waited decades for someone brave enough to seek the truth. What hidden mysteries might be waiting in the buildings where you work or live? Sometimes the most remarkable stories are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice what others have overlooked.